today we got to play Santa Maria. So this is a dice rolling resource gathering game, I think would be...
Dice placement, I think would be...
Yeah, dice placement, yeah, because you're placing them on the board.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, the tiles.
You're placing the
You
dice
place them on the board to do the action.
Oh,
Yes.
that's true. Well, there's a little bit of lot going on here. You also have a lot of tracks.
It's a game.
You also have lots of tracks.
Santa Maria.
Well, you have lots of tracks as well. So there's a different, bunch of different mechanics. Who designed this, Rob? What you got?
So we got Elif Svensson, Christian Munson Ostby are the designers. Artist is German Bone. Published by Porta Games. MSRP is $54.99. I think it's out of print though, but Amazon had one in stock for $54.99.
So
Okay.
better rush out and get it if you're wanting
That's
it.
right.
So this is by the same company that made The Magnificent, and one of our fellow reviewers pointed out that to me whenever we reviewed Magnificent, and so I was like, this has been on my shelf for a long time, so I really enjoyed The Magnificent, so I thought, let's give this one a try. So we took it with us on our trip to Gatlinburg, and we got it to the table there, and then we played it again tonight.
Okay, so moving on to quality of pieces, pretty standard. Standard cardboard, more cardboard. Oh, we do have wooden bits for the different type of resources. There we go, wooden resources that are in the shape and are in color. So those are a little upgraded. We do have wooden dice.
The dice are very reminiscent of Grand Austria Hotel dice. And so is some of the play of the game. It's what the closest game I could compare it to.
Really? That's what you got? No, I wouldn't have associated these games together.
You have dice that you choose the value of to trigger your...
Okay, fair enough. All right, I can see that now a little bit. Not by much.
There's no dining room tables that you put it on. Or
There's nothing...
There's no hotel
thematically, it has nothing to do with Grand Austria Hotel. Mechanically, it works very similar in that aspect.
Well, I didn't make the leap. All right, so quality of pieces, give it a score, guys.
Personally, I think it's just a little bit better Catan, so I'd say 5.5.
What do you think?
I think 5.5 is probably generous. I think it's probably a 5 to me at best. I
always say 5.5 because of the shape of the wooden pieces.
Yeah,
it's a little bit better, but the artwork is about the same. The cardboard's about the same.
The cardboard's actually thinner. It's actually less, as far as you
got more dice, so
yeah, that's true. You do have an army of dice in this,
that's right,
as opposed to the single die, or 2. I guess you get that with 3 if you get Cities and Knights. I'll go ahead and give you a 5.5. Just yes, you've talked me into it.
Yeah, I'm right there. There's nothing grand about these pieces. Yeah. So moving on to theme, you are essentially building a kingdom that has roads and resource gathering spots, as long as with townships. I think. And you as you develop resources, you sell ships, which end up giving you income. So I see that as creating contracts, trading contracts, I guess. So there is a little theme in here. I don't know what Santa Maria has to do with anything, but I'm sure.
It's interesting because there's no backstory for the game, but they actually have a whole page dedicated to the story of the conquistadors and Santa Maria. So there's a history here, but it doesn't in any way tie to the game
itself.
Yeah.
So well, I mean that's pretty cool.
It gives you. It's kind of like taking a history class.
This is one of those that you can take to a school and say it's "quote unquote" educational.
That's right. Slip it in, and you can impress your teacher with your knowledge of Santa Maria and the conquistadors and monks. And
hey, maybe that will help our son with his Greek. No,
we didn't destroy anything through plague though, which would have been more historically.
We didn't come in and steal everything from all the natives or plunder.
Hey. It's called trade.
I'll take your sugar and you can have my syphilis.
Wow. Okay.
Wow. Okay. So give it a score.
I mean, it's completely layered on.
Yeah, for theme, I mean,
there's no reason this has to be Santa Maria or anything historic. It's just it's a civilization building, if you want to call it that. Although nothing really is trigger. I mean, it's spaces on a board that do things. It's not even like upgradable. It's I'm hard pressed to give it more than a 5.
I agree. I mean, I think that it's very non-thematic.
Yeah.
There's very little of any. So 5.
I'm trying to figure out what the smiley face is. I know they're
they creep me out.
It's victory points which make you happy.
The victory points are your civilization being happy, I guess. But yeah, they're really creepy.
But I don't think anybody that back during that time frame looked like that, though.
Yeah, I don't like when my victory points stare at me.
They're all centered.
Their eyes are closed.
Well, they can see through the eyes.
How bad that is.
They can see through their eyelids.
Anyway, listen. I'm gonna
give a score.
5.5.
What? Really?
Because I feel bad.
You are generous. You let those smiley faces get to you.
That was actually why it's not a 6. Is because they're creepy. All right, so moving on to rules. How were the rules?
We missed stuff in it each time we played until we got towards the end and caught it a few times. They're not horrible. They're actually pretty good. It's
if you read them,
if you read them and recall them. They're only like 8 pages long, and for this complex of a game, that's actually pretty good for them to be that short. I mean, when you boil it down to its basic actions, it's not that complex. But
no, I think the most complex is the iconography for the scoring.
Yeah, it's really the iconography that gets you, because there's a whole lot of stuff going on with the iconography. And they give you a cheat sheet for all the scoring tiles, so it's separate. So that's nice. I'm going to go ahead and give this one an 8 from the fact that the rules are pretty straightforward. They're broken out nicely into the different sections. The color choices in the rules are a bit odd. They got this yellow, really kind of a off yellow.
That was really common back in that time. So
common to have day-glow yellow that's blinding you when you read.
That's right.
It has to do with the box, the yellow.
Yeah, I guess.
It matches
Again,
the
I
box.
hate yellow, so we got that. But yeah, it's a good, well-designed rule book. It's I think it's an 8 level.
Moving on to gameplay.
You roll your dice.
Okay, so there's 2 sets of dice.
Right.
You have your blue dice and your white dice. At the beginning of the game, you start with 1 blue die. You can acquire more throughout the game by going up the religion track. Okay, and then there are white dice that are mass rolled, and then by the starting player, the community dice that on your turn you can opt to take them. You want to get as many of those dice as you can because they go up really, really quick. And then you don't end up with dice to produce.
There's 3 in the game per player. Depending on the number of players, you're going to have up to 12. But it's not necessarily going to be distributed evenly based upon the actions you choose on your turn.
Yeah, so you kind of want to get them and get some resources collected, especially in the first round. It's really easy.
But this is the unique part of the game, and this is why I like it.
Yeah, because it's interesting because the white dice trigger the columns on your board, any of the spaces that have actions on
from bottom up.
They trigger from top down,
but your dice start to go to the bottom.
Yeah, but whenever you put some positions, the die has to occupy one of the buildings the spaces that you triggered. It can't be placed on an empty space. So it's going to occupy one, and then your blue dice that you have for your personal supply trigger rows going across. But if it's already occupied by a die, or you can also use coins to trigger, if it's covered by one of those things, it doesn't trigger again. Right. So you're going to have a diminishing board as far as the values of what you're going to get out of them.
So you would think luck would be a huge part of it because you're rolling dice, but you can use money to mitigate the luck. So I really like that part too.
Yeah, I agree with that. So besides picking dice or opting to trigger your production, one of the other options you can use is to use your resources to buy tiles to place on your board, so your board becomes more effective because you have more items that get triggered when you opt to use your die. So it's a balancing of act of trying to get those tiles out as quickly as possible, but also making sure you actually get some of those dice. There's a real...
and there's also advantages to filling your board, particularly at endgame, whenever you've got the villagers who are on the streets that are going to trigger if you fill a complete row or a complete column. So you can stockpile your board in such a way that you'll get in-game bonuses for that. Not to mention there's also tiles that give you in-game bonuses that you can occupy.
Yeah, through the religion track. So the religion track gives you more dice and gives you option for in-game bonus points. Now the
Conquistador.
That word. So there is also a track for them, and as you go up the track, you gain gold, but whoever's the furthest along the track at the end of the round gets the most victory points. Second place gets a little bit more, and third place and so on, depending on how many players you have.
A bit less. You said a little bit more. It'd be a little bit less per second and third.
Right.
Yeah, what he said.
And then one of the other actions that is triggered through your board is the sell action, and that means you're basically, if you have the goods required on these tiles, you trade them in, and that gives you an income based on where that tile is located. So that's
or you can just sell your goods for straight up money.
Well, yeah, but that's free action.
Right. Yeah, that's a free action.
The tiles give you in-game victory points both by the face value of the tile and if you collect sets of them, being one of each of the 4 rows that you can get them from, then you can trigger 3 victory point bonus at the end for each set.
Yeah, I kind of didn't do that. I got one set. So that's pretty much actually the synopsis. What was your favorite part of the game?
I don't know. I didn't do very well, but I had a lot of fun playing it. I think my favorite part was, I don't know, just a little bit of everything. It's just a good, fun game.
What was your favorite part?
I love managing the board. I mean, it's a Tetris-y type game where you're putting pieces on, but I like...
But you only have the 2 shapes.
Well, yeah, but I like the way it flows because you can adjust the positioning of them such that you can line up your icons,
right.
and during your turn, your positioning of that will be influencing how you play it. I mean, because it may be more strategic for me to go ahead and build the icons now, then take the dice, but then I got to balance that with the odds of losing some of those dice because of other people's actions. So I had to, and in some cases, make some sacrifices. Like I traded gold in as a wild resource for stuff that was lesser, just so I could go ahead and get a tile, because I was afraid I'd lose that opportunity later on. And so you've got that balancing act of, even though I would have gotten those basic resources by doing one of my other plays, I would have lost the opportunity of getting the action by the die. So there's this whole trade-off thing, and I love that. It's the whole mechanics of I'm playing my board, but I'm also playing,
or knocking the board into your wife.
Are you trying to attack me?
I am. I'm playing my board and throwing the box around at people.
Hi, Robert. Do you promise not to hit me?
In addition, I'm playing my opponents, so I like that. Anytime I get to play my opponents in a game, it's good.
So other than really seeing what your opponent's doing and trying to, I guess, outscore them, there's really little player interaction. So
I don't know.
I'm just saying.
Me pretty good.
Other than like a worker placement type where you're blocking other people.
Right.
Yeah.
I was
but other than that, there's really no, which I appreciate. There's no like screw your neighbor or take that.
Yeah. No, I agree with that. But people kept taking the things I wanted to do. But I ended up being last player, so that really sucked. But
and there's only 3 rounds. So
yeah, it's really quick. A little too quick sometimes, I feel like, because I'm just like, I just got started. So give it a score, guys.
I think it's a pretty solid game. I wish that better components, but it came out in 2018, so it's not an old game, but it's not a new game either. And really, modern board games have really increased the value of the components.
Yeah.
So maybe it was just
you
old
said this
enough.
was 2018?
Yeah.
Well, that's definitely not old.
Well, I'm not saying it's old. But
Okay.
I'm just saying that, it seems like the last couple of years, really, you've seen games really up the component quality, like with Dwellings of Eldervale.
Well, yeah, but I mean, again, this, I think, like the Magnificent, we had the similar issue with the quality from the components from it, but the gameplay was outstanding.
Yeah.
This is the same company, and I think it's probably the similar situation. The very fact this is their first one as far as I know. So I would say that, this is another startup company that, they're just now getting into, trying to design these games, and they don't have a lot of, resources.
But I appreciate quality over.
I do too.
Quality of gameplay over quality of components.
Well.
If it's a great game, I'm okay with it being bland. This is a great game that's bland, so that's why I'm going to give it an 8.
Okay, what's your score?
Well, I try to keep gameplay disassociated from all the other. I've already penalized them for the quality. I've penalized them for the total lack of theme in this game. From a gameplay perspective, the mechanics of this are amazing. I love how the mechanics of this play. I love Magnificent, and this is just as good to me as Magnificent. Magnificent was a little more thematic than this one was. I'm going to go ahead and I think I'm going to give this one a 9. I really enjoyed the mechanics of this, and it's very, in my eyes, it's taking some of the mechanics I really enjoyed out of Grand Austria Hotel and combining it with some of the puzzly aspects that I enjoyed from Magnificent.
You gave 9. You gave it an 8.
You're going to go 8.5, aren't you?
No. I'll go with an 8.
Okay.
It was a good game. It's a good solid game, and the gameplay I think is fine. It is an 8, but it is kind of boring in those other areas. So I think that's, like Randy said, we've already penalized it, so I'm fine with an 8 for this game. The gameplay's pretty solid, and it's fun, and it's something a little bit different, and so yeah.
Yeah, I'd definitely play it again.
Yeah, I'm eager to try the expansion that we've got for it. I think I've only got the one. Yeah, I've got to find it, but I know it's somewhere in this house.
Yeah, we still can't find Patchwork, so have fun searching.
Yeah. Well, that's a little bit smaller, so it's going to take a little longer to find that one.
Well, maybe we should go through our games.
Yeah, we're not getting rid of it, but we can go through it and find them.
Well, thank you guys so much for joining us. We really appreciate you. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button and the notification bell if you would like to hang out with us some more. We'll catch you guys later.
Bye.